Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDN TV Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button and be the first to get notifications.
For most interest groups in the Niger Delta, the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill (PIB) should be viewed with cautious optimism by oil-producing communities in Nigeria's oil-rich region. While they commend the National Assembly for demonstrating the political will to pass the PIB, interested parties in the Niger Delta insist that the 3% Host Communities Development Fund approved recently in the anticipated petroleum law by the Senate was grossly inadequate to effectively tackle the crisis of underdevelopment rocking the Niger Delta region. Correspondent Lovely Ofigo has more.
After many years of mismanaging Nigeria's petroleum industry, the Petroleum Industry Bill (PIB) was conceived as a legislative framework to enthrone transparency in the industry and make it more investment-friendly and profitable. The proposed law was also introduced to foster better regulation and increase equity participation of host communities in the petroleum industry. In spite of the laudable objectives of the PIB, its passage had been stalled since it was first introduced on the floor of the National Assembly in 2008.
That particular bill has had a very tortuous journey through the two chambers of the National Assembly.
While they commend the Ninth Assembly for demonstrating the courage to revive Nigeria's ailing petroleum industry with the passage of the PIB, most Niger Deltans are not comfortable with the 3% Host Communities Development Fund approved by the National Assembly in the proposed petroleum law. Recall that in February 2021, Inside the Niger Delta reported key issues in the PIB that degenerated into physical combat between factional groups of host communities producing oil and gas at the public hearing on PIB organized by the House of Representatives. One of the key issues in question was the argument between both factions over 2.5% of production quantum or 10% equity.
My position, the host community position, is 2.5% of production quantum should be given to the host community. If you produce 100 billion of crude oil or 100 million of crude oil, give 2.5% to the community.
It was a sponsored attack, not on my very self, but for the voice of the host communities of Nigeria producing oil and gas, on our demand on 10% equity participation shareholding.
With the provisions of Section 257, subsections 2 and 3, transferring liabilities of damaged crude oil and gas facilities on host communities in the PIB, most Niger Deltans are worried that the 3% approved for development of their communities would definitely not serve its intended purpose.
I have to call on communities to endeavor to talk to their youth to protect pipelines within their communities, because if any pipeline is busted in any community today, the blame will be on the communities. The 3% so far allocated to communities will no longer be there because the money will be used to clean up the environment.
Why should the host community pay for vandalism? Is the host community completely responsible for securing the place? Are there contracts or design? There is nothing in the law that makes it their responsibility, so why should they pay? If it is not established that the activity is from the host community, why should the host community pay in the event of vandalism, sabotage, or any other civil unrest?
While some concerned Niger Deltans are demanding an upward review of the Host Communities Development Fund in the PIB to 5% as canvassed by their political representatives in the Senate, others insist that nothing short of 10% would suffice to deal with the negative consequences of decades of oil exploration and exploitation in the Niger Delta. In reaction to the passage of the PIB by the Senate, governors of the southern states, after the Southern Governors Forum held in Lagos on Monday, 5th July 2021, lent their voice to the beleaguered host communities by rejecting the 3% equity and demanding an upward review to 5%.
I think that they should agree on the 5% equity stake for host communities, because what is the 5%? The 5% is 5% after operational cost. And so it's just sharing 5% or giving 5% of profit to host communities. It is not a big deal.
The proposed Petroleum Industry Act, when it finally receives presidential assent to become law, will replace the extant Petroleum Act of 1969 and transform operations in the petroleum industry. While it promises to generate more income for the country, oil and gas host communities in the Niger Delta look forward to a fair share of revenues accruing from exploiting of the black gold, which has made life uncomfortable for them in over 6 decades.
Inside the Niger Delta,